Wow, here we are back at it. Rants and Raves. It has been a very long time since I've sat here and done this. As a matter of fact, the last Rants and Raves was October 8th, 2011. Had I thought about it and looked at it a little bit earlier, I probably would have done this last week. So it would have been exactly 6 years since I had done the last one. But I'm back at it. How often I'm going to do it? Well, we'll get to that one a little bit later. I'm going to start off right away getting at one of the rants. Well, what happened? Yesterday, I'm getting ready for the show and trying to make some notes. And what am I going to talk about? And my phone rings. And there is my oldest daughter. My oldest daughter, who almost never calls for anything. Telling me there's a woman at her house, parent of one of their roommates, who has recently told her because she doesn't take care of her dog well, she should not be allowed to procreate. Whoa, wait a minute, that's my grandchildren you're talking about, lady. So I immediately said, can I come on over? So I went on over and walk in and, well, nobody's there. Everybody's miraculously disappeared. So we go looking a little bit, find, the boyfriend of the mother was out in the garage along with one of the other roommates. And so we have a little discussion. And then we go back in the house. Finally, everybody's there, mom's there. And, well, let's just say it got a little bit unpleasant. It's been a long time since I've been around a whole group of folks who drop F-bombs as every part of speech. It just kind of fits in wherever and into every single solitary sentence. And then I realized having a rational discussion wasn't going to make anything any better because the other side wasn't rational. So was there for about 45 minutes. Not sure we got anything resolved. It all had to do with dogs and feeding and dogs doing their business in the house and who's cleaning up after it and who's feeding. And, well, what I found was this parent and parent boyfriend who were in from Minnesota. I don't know if I have a Minnesota accent. I'm not sure what that accent was, but it was pretty bad, whatever it was. But they came in like the typical in-laws that you don't want to have come into your house and tell you how to raise your kid. In this case, it was somebody else's parents and trying to tell them how to take care of a dog. And there may have been some issues because there's always, a little bit on both sides of every story. But I think in this case, well, yes, it's been 6 years since I've said it. Those people were idiots. That's right. It's back. Moving on. I'm not sure if this is a rant or a rave. This is a somewhat neutral. As I was skimming through Twitter and later Facebook looking for what I wanted to talk about today, I came across a tweet from very, very good friend of mine, guy that I have the utmost respect for, Chris Soupy Suitor, and he had what he was calling a soapy box box moment. What I originally saw on Twitter was, I'm sorry, world of tennis coaching has gone mad. More and more tweets of coaches congratulating players for being selected for training camps. So that was what I saw originally. And then I went to his Facebook page because someone told me, oh, did you see he had a whole thing on this on Facebook, on the Service Box Limited page. And so I went over there and I got a little bit more information. And it goes on to say, my issue is it feels like the main motivation for the tweets and Facebook posts is to attach themselves to these players of certain levels. Feels like the cheapest form of self-promotion. Well, I'm not a coach, and I don't feel like I need to self-promote, but I certainly feel like I need to promote young people who are working hard, often feel like there's nothing but the negative downward pressures of junior tennis, because junior tennis just straight up isn't fun. Don't kid yourself about it. Having coached people who played US junior tennis, college tennis, and professional tennis, every single one of them would tell you junior tennis was the absolute worst. College tennis was the most fun, and pro tennis was somewhere in between. Why so much pressure? Well, the pressure comes from parents, it comes from coaches, it comes from rankings and ratings and being on the internet. And so peers looking and seeing how you did. Did you have good win? Did you have bad loss? And I've just always felt like it was important. As a matter of fact, I think I'll do one right now. Congratulations to original TOPS participant Ty Kwiatkowski on winning his second future singles title in Houston yesterday. Congrats, Ty. Doing great. You won the NCAA singles title last spring. You won the NCAA team title 3 times in a row. Am I glad to have been a part of your journey? Yes, that's awesome. Do I want more players to come to me because of it? Absolutely not. That's not the world that I'm in. So this isn't about bigging myself up. This is about giving credit to somebody who did very well. Have I also promoted kids who won their first tournament, got their first trophy? Darn tootin' I did. That's right. I do it. Why? Because they like to see it. And I would say their parents like to see it. Parents are probably the ones who need to see it more than anyone else. So I'm going to continue to do it. Soapy goes on and he says, coaches, this advice is not an attempt to patronize you, so don't take it personally. If it sounds, it is sound advice from someone who's made all the mistakes social media has to offer. Not sure we can ever say we've made all the mistakes. He goes on to say, get your head down, focus on keeping your players, and get the job done. Let everyone else congratulate them. Your business and reputation will grow automatically as your players are getting the results. Congratulate them face to face and tell them how proud you are of the progress and not of some hierarchical moment in time. Well, if you don't praise them, you're right. They probably won't be there for long. Although I guess as I look at who I am as a parent, I've always been the one that you get A's. I don't say anything because I expect you're going to get A's, but if you get D's, you get a foot in the butt because I expect you to get A's and I don't heap praise on you for meeting expectations. So because I know when you go into a tournament, only one person comes home the winner, I'm going to continue to praise those who are in my program who win. We can have a difference of opinion, as we often do, which is funny because Soapy and I usually think a lot the same, and we might even right here. Guess we'll see if he watches and if there's anything that he has to say about it. That brings me to my next subject, which is the Dallas Cowboys. Well, the Dallas Cowboys, our ratings are down, as are the ratings in most of the NFL this season. But the Dallas Cowboys, 2 weeks ago, they played the Green Bay Packers in a game that was played the same time the year before. It was a 3:25 in the afternoon game. And this year they had a rating of 30. And which I guess means about 3 out of every 10 households in the Dallas market was watching, as opposed to the previous year when they had a rating of 37. So that's a drop of 19%. And another way of looking at it is this year there were little more than 209,000 fewer viewers watching the Cowboys and Packers. Well, why is that? Well, if you look at all of the controversy going on in the NFL at the moment, at the head of the pack is Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, possibly the most valued franchise in all of professional sport. And I have no idea how many billions of dollars it would be worth if it were sold. Well, a lot of people don't like Jerry Jones. I didn't like Jerry Jones from the time he stepped in and fired the legend, the guy that had me following the Cowboys from when I was a kid, a guy by the name of Tom Landry. And when Jerry fired Tom Landry, I took a turn and I said, don't like this guy, but I'm going to watch because he had brought in a coach, Jimmy Johnson, to replace Tom Landry, who I had followed when he was at University of Miami, and who I said, he's probably a pretty good coach. And lo and behold, the Cowboys had a lot of success. Well, fast forward to now, and it didn't take much for me to say, I'm not going to watch the Cowboys, even the little bit that I would normally watch them, because Jerry Jones just plain old doesn't get it. The majority of his workforce is crying out saying, here's our platform. We want to get attention. We're not disrespecting the American flag. Let's get past that, folks. This is not a disrespect of the American flag, what the NFL players are doing. They're saying there's a lot in this country which we all love dearly, which isn't exactly how they envision the country being at this point in time. And so they're taking a stand. And then we had a president who came out and said, well, we're disrespecting the flag. And he tried to flip the script because it's kind of what he does because he's a racist kind of dude. Yes, that is our president of the United States. He is a racist. And so they did silly stuff like sending the vice president to a game and knowing that he wasn't going to stay just so that he could stage one of Donald Trump's reality TV moments and walk out when the players took a knee, which everybody knew that they were going to do. And what had began as someone simply trying to call attention to some things that they felt like needed to change has escalated into what's hard for anyone to articulate at this point in time. I'm not sure anyone has a true sense of why players are doing it. At this point in time, I suspect it may be more a unity and us against them kind of thing. And it's only escalated because of what's going on in society, led by the guy at the top, Donald J. Trump, who is undoubtedly a racist. Why would I say that he's a racist? And everybody, you can jump in and you can complain and you can argue with me. But the reality is, it started with the Central Park Five and him taking out full-page newspaper advertisements saying that these people should be given the death penalty. Although, wait. Oh, that's right. They were proven to be innocent. And then it moved on to the birther movement. And the birther movement was challenging the legitimacy of the first African-American president. And to what purpose? Not sure that it's ever really ended other than the little stunt where he called a press conference and got everybody around and gave this little 2-second thing and then said, come for a tour of my hotel. And then you look at, well, what goes on? Well, what's the president doing? Well, what is it? Every one of his actions is about trying to figure out if he can absolutely erase Barack Obama from the history books. That's what he's trying to do. Every action of his, I would say there is no other purpose for what he's doing most of the time. Because Donald Trump's pretty agnostic, actually. He doesn't have a real philosophy. He has people who are following him, and therefore he does what he believes those people will like. But he's not truly a conservative. I think he's truly a hater. That is who he is. I'm going to talk about this a lot. I think about it a lot. I actually talk about it a lot outside of here. But I'm going to tell you how I'm going to talk about it a little bit. Okay, so like there's that little switch, flip the script, move into my segue, talk about EKH Media. And I wasn't sure if this, Rants and Raves, was going to become a part of EKH Media. I've recently transitioned from the majority of my time being spent as an on-court tennis coach to creating a digital media business. And I had to decide, was this going to be part of it? Well, my goal for creating EKH Media was to find and to share compelling stories. And I suspect there is no more compelling story than what is going on with the divide which exists in this country at this time. So this will be part of what's going on, what I'm doing. I will be sharing things in Rants and Raves. My goal for Rants and Raves, well, Monday and Thursday maybe, at this time, hoping we'll get some people and you come out and jump in, have a cup of coffee with me while I'm talking. Put some comments in, love to talk to you. Have you share your thoughts with me so we can have a little conversation, real time, not scripted. And then I'm going to have a couple of other live shows, although I haven't figured out if Rants and Raves is better done live or as a VOD type thing. Other one that I'm going to do is something that I call the IPA show. The IPA, well, in case you're not a beer drinker, IPA, India Pale Ale, it's a type of beer. It's pretty hoppy, kind of beer I've chosen to kind of drink more of. And I got a whole great big refrigerator full of it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sit a couple chairs and I'm going to find somebody who has an opinion and wants to talk politics. And I'm going to share a few beers with them. And we're going to talk about things. And it might get contentious. And we're going to do the things that people get a little bit loud and they bang their fist on the table. Yet at the end of the day, we're going to say, cheers. So that will be the IPA show. Haven't figured out the exact time. It's somewhere Friday, Saturday, Sunday show. It very well might be Friday because Saturday and Sundays a lot of times I'm taking my daughter to a tournament. And then there's Tennis 2020. Tennis 2020 will be a talk show type of format where most of it will be live. I'll be sitting with a co-host to be determined who that will be. And we'll be talking about tennis. And we'll be having segments where we do a lot of what Tennis 2020 used to do, which is bring in a guest via Skype or some other means, and we will interview them and find out what interesting things they have to say. As a matter of fact, Soapy was one of the first guests we had when we were doing it on Blog Talk Radio as a audio-only podcast type of deal. So we'll have that. We will have a pre-recorded, edited educational segment, and that will probably head on its own into a video on demand to help parents who are working with their own kids, because that's always been what I believe to be the biggest opportunity to improve tennis, was to get good information to those parents out in the park tossing balls to their kids day in and day out. So that will be another show. It will be sometime early afternoon, middle of the week, probably Tuesday, Wednesday is what I'm looking at. And then I look at, well, what else? There's Walking While Black. What was Walking While Black? Well, Walking While Black was me initially saying I needed to get healthy. I needed to get out and get walks. And one day I was kind of doing this little bag check thing, and I pulled out my wallet and I said, because you got to have your license with you while walking while black. So we're getting back to that whole what's going on in America right now. And then I decided I was going to get healthy. So I was doing juicing and walking and more juicing and lost a ton of weight. And then I said, well, really, what is walking while black? Well, what is it a metaphor? What kind of metaphor could it be? And if you know anything about me, you know I'm always kind of equating one thing to something else. And so walking while black became the journey that we're taking through life, walking, and having us not fully understand all the things necessary to do it successfully. So while in darkness, black. So walking while black is about the journey that we take, and it will be will be a show. It will be an edited type of show where what we do is we go out and we get good information for people. So whether that is information on health, nutrition, fitness, or being financially fit. So getting help on how do you plan for retirement, how do you do budgets, how do you do, and we're going to interview some really great people. And we might even cross over that line. Yes, I said I'm going to talk about politics, so I might as well cross the other line too and talk about religion and being spiritually healthy and what that can mean for the life that we live. So that's going to be walking while black. It's going to come. And then I look at what I really want to do, which is some longer form content. So ultimately, I'd love to be doing things like The Blind Side, Megan Levy, movies like that, real stories which can tell a story which makes us all feel good about the world. Don't necessarily want to get into the darker ones because there's some real stories that just don't end well, and some people tend to tell those stories too. I'm not into vampires and things like that. I'm into pixie dust and fairies, and everything is possible. That's just me and who I am. So that will be an area that we look to get into, coming up with identifying those stories, having people who can do the interviews and develop it, write scripts. That's beyond where the capabilities are at the moment, but I'm looking at it. So somebody said to me, Duey, jump in. Got it. I got you back. We can figure out the financing for it. We can figure out distribution for it. I would probably jump in and I would do it. But it's something that I'm always thinking about, but not doing. At least not yet. Well, I think that's going to do it for today and Rants and Raves. Not a bad first one out of the gate. I wish I knew how many days it has been in the last 6 years. I was really nervous about this, just to let you know. I woke up at 1:15, couldn't sleep, going through checks. What did I need to get plugged in? Is this thing plugged in, and is it going to be charged, and do I need to change? And wow, nerve-wracking. Where before it was just set up the video camera, get out and do it. Didn't really matter because it wasn't my real world. Now this is my lead into what I'm going to be doing a lot of the time, and where I hope to make my mark in the world over the next, what am I, 55, the next 20 years maybe. Not so much of it in front of the camera, a lot more of it on the other side, helping figure out how do we tell the stories in ways that I'm not capable currently, probably will not be capable, but I'm going to get better at doing it. I think it's a good experience of figuring out how do you become good at something that you're really not good at. So consciously incompetent, moving to conscious competency, to hopefully staying in that place, because hopefully always learning more, always pushing the envelope, always trying to do things that maybe nobody has done, and therefore there is no way to be unconsciously competent at it. That's where I want to be. This has been a fun little bit of time. Try to keep it under half an hour. We're just about at that moment right now. I'll be back on Thursday. Hopefully it will be a little better. Hopefully I'll figure out how to get this other notification thing to work. Yes, if you didn't know, I had a little trouble getting the stream started this morning, but is what it is. I'll see you later. Peace out.